Hi, I'm Mark Hirschi from Movified, owner of Salmon's Transfer located in Vancouver, British Columbia. I have a fantastic guest here with me today. Steven, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Awesome. Nice to see you. Thank you for having me on here. My name is Steven. I am the owner of Clutch Moving Company out in South San Francisco. And I've actually owned the company since 2017, but I didn't take over the company fully until 2019. And, grew the company, to a decent size where we should be close to about 3 million this year. And we're continuing to grow. And I think I've made major strides since I took over in 2019, not knowing anything about the moving industry and just taking it on and learning as I went.
Nice. Now, going into it in 2017, you guys had how many trucks at the time?
So it started off like this. So the story is in 2017, I was approached by a buddy of mine. He asked me to invest in the company, not knowing what he was doing either. It actually started off with 3 trucks. I don't even know why I bought 3 trucks. I just so happened that the salesperson who was selling me the trucks said, "Hey, you're approved for 3 trucks." And it was at U-Haul. And he said, "You can take all 3 trucks." And me, myself, I'm just like, okay, fuck it. I'm going to grow this we're going to grow this company and we're going to take it to the next level. So not knowing, I bought the 3 trucks. And from there, we started. It wasn't a moving company at first. We tried to do junk removal. We tried to do whatever. We tried to do logistics. And it wasn't until like 2018 or 2018 was when we were like, what the hell are we doing? We've got some payments that we need to take care of. We've got insurances and everything. So we're just trying to find our lane. I think we were trying to work in like the logistics lane. And then we're like, no, this isn't going to work. And then we try to do the junk removal lane and we're like, no, this isn't going to work either. And then we try to do the moving side and we're just
now, you got approved for 3 trucks.
Uh-huh.
Am I losing you here?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. All right, cut out for a second there. So you were approved for 3 trucks. You were approved to purchase them. Did you finance them? Did you lease them? Like, what were you doing with the U-Haul setup?
Yeah, we actually financed them. So we financed them, and yeah, we just took them off the lot, and we didn't even know where to park them. We were getting tickets damn near every day because we didn't know where to park the trucks at. I have my background. I owned a tax firm previously, and I had franchised a tax firm. So I was still in business, but I wasn't in the the moving
logistics
side.
Yeah,
logistics side. I should say that. And I just kind of went from there. I was just doing taxes. Had my tax license and everything like that. But I really got rid of the tax company in about 2019 because the tax industry is boring and you kind of sat behind a desk all day and you didn't really do nothing. I mean,
probably not as cool as being in the moving world, right? Like every day something's different. Some shit's going down. It's not so much being like, oh, you didn't file your taxes. Oh, what a wild day that was.
Exactly. Yeah. No. You got to roll with the punches in the moving industry. Some things happen. Some days are good. Some days are bad. Some days trucks flip over. Some days, employees are wild and clients are wild, and it's a new thing every single day.
What are those? What did you find were some of those challenges in the first year of kind of getting business? Because you're saying, you tried doing the logistics, so you're out there trying to get some delivery accounts. I'm assuming, right? And trying to keep those trucks busy, because it's one thing to keep 1 truck busy. It's another thing to keep 3 trucks busy, right? So
yes.
you're doing that and going, okay, we're not that busy, or what was happening?
Yeah. So that the first year, once we got the trucks, we didn't know what to do. We didn't even know where to go to insurance. I think we found insurance maybe a month after, because we didn't know who to go to for commercial insurance. So we got the insurance. We didn't even have I don't think we had our first job until a week before we even got the insurance. Right. Funny. But we posted on Craigslist. We're posting on Craigslist, and keep in mind, I think our first job, we had a Craigslist job, and I think we were charging for 2 guys. Craziest thing ever was I think $55 an hour for 2 guys.
For 2 guys.
And not even charge. And we charged a $50 fuel fee. And, at the end of it, I think I had to help. I just helped out on that job just to kind of see what it was or whatever. And at the end of it, I know we paid the employees, we had our truck, and then I was left with like $30. And I was like, what the hell is going on here? And I was like, there's gotta be a different way. I still remember that job on Craigslist, and that job sucked. And the client got probably the best deal of their life.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Like $55 an hour.
I think we might have broke a couple of things, but I guess the customer understood that they got us off Craigslist and it was a super cheap price. So they couldn't complain off of that.
Well, I think it's funny too, because a lot of people, I remember when I first got in the moving world, it's like you have to learn like the moving lingo, right? It's like, you need moving pads. Like I just, people, I remember driving by some shady trucks and they're using like blankets, like bed sheets, whatever they can use, like quilts. To wrap up their furniture and everything else. And you don't think about, okay, no one gives you a list on like, you almost have to Google being like how to start a moving company. And it's like, okay, you need moving pads, you need shrink wrap, you need tape, you need a dolly, a four-wheeler. You kind of need all these things to get started. And, it sounds like in your scenario, it's kind of like, all right, like, let's just try and figure this out as we go.
Yeah, that's exactly what I try to do. I try to figure out everything as I went. That first year, I wasn't in the business at all. I mean, in that first year, it was my buddy that was really running the business. I was more so the investor on that business. And my buddy was still trying to run the business, trying to figure out how to go, and just trying to see how it worked. And I was kind of, checking in, checking out, and seeing what was going on. But I was kind of more focused on my tax business. And, just seeing if I can get some business or try to refer some clients. But, I thought I was cool. I was like, yeah, I got multiple businesses. I got a tax firm. I got a moving company. I'm kind of cool. But not knowing what it was really going to turn out to be. But that first year, I think, was just figuring everything out. And then after I kind of figured things out little by little, I try to get business, and then getting the business and keeping the trucks busy. So we weren't in the hole paying the insurances and everything like that was probably the hardest part. And then also not knowing about the expenses. You had to get workers' comp, you had to get your insurance, you got to get your general liability, and then really understanding what it took to start the business and understand the business. And then not to mention, we were just parking our trucks in regular residential areas, and every single ticket was like $200. $200, and it just added up. And
these trucks are probably not even deckled either, right? They're just like blank trucks.
Yeah. Blank trucks. Yeah. Looking crazy and shady. I even have a picture on my Instagram where, I had the trucks had the boot. I don't know if you watched any of my videos, but one of the trucks had a boot on there, and I was like, man, what the hell? And I was just like, this sucks. And
figure shit out.
Yeah. It didn't come until about like maybe end of 2018, the beginning of 2019. I think what happened was we were referred a job, and I think on that job, I think we probably charged them. It was still a crazy deal, probably like $3,000. Huge house. We charged them like $3,000, and they were happy to pay it. And I was just like, holy smokes, like there could be some money made here. And then I took over the company fully in about 2019. And I made it a point to really grow the company. I kind of,
Now, what do you say in that scenario? Because I'd like to know a little bit of the story, and I'd love to if you want to share, because a lot of times guys go in the company and it's like a buddy of theirs, right? And like, hey man, let's like start a moving company. You've got the cash, I've got the knowledge in there, and then shit kind of goes sideways, right? And you're eventually like, no, I don't like how you're running it. I want out. Like the things happen that way where you're like, hey man, like you're costing us too much money. You're running this company down to the ground. You're buying the Rolexes when I want to buy the trucks. Like, what was happening?
You hit it right on the money. I kind of came in there, and he was my childhood friend that I've known since high school. We were like best buddies and everything like that. And what we did was I came in there and I was like, hey, what are you guys doing? Where's my investment? Nothing is going as planned. And I basically said, I can't do this with you. And it was more like an ego thing in the beginning because we were friends and, we were just bumping heads. And we tried to work for maybe like a month, and I was just like, I can't do this with you. Let's not do this together. And after that, we didn't talk for about 2 years. give or take. Yeah, about 2 years.
Kind of, you walk in there and things were just not happening the way you wanted it to.
Yeah. And I basically told him I can't work with you because we were bumping heads. It was more so like an ego thing. And then after that, what happened was I basically just said, I'm taking over. This is my investment. This is my money. You know,
Get the fuck
my
out.
way or the highway. And
Yeah.
I didn't talk to him for about 2 years after that situation. And he's seen the growth in the 2 years, so he wasn't mad at it. He actually applauded me and was like, you did your thing,
Right.
And in 2019 is when I found Louis Massaro. I found him.
Okay.
Yeah, I found him on the internet. I went on YouTube and I was like, how to run a moving company. And then the first thing that popped up was his dispatching thing, where it's like, what does a dispatcher do? And I was like, holy shit, I'm a dispatcher. And and then everything from there just started to click and roll. And, that's when I really started to catch on. But I got to say, I owe a lot of credit to Lewis and his videos in the early stages.
You find that like sometimes having that mentor has been a real big key, right, to grow?
Yeah. I paid for his coaching for a couple of months, actually. And he helped out. Yeah, he helped out a lot, especially trying to get to that next level. The events were great. And just really understanding how the moving industry worked. Because, again, I didn't work in the moving industry and I didn't know how it worked.
Sure. So, I mean, when you look back from 2019, you're taking over. You guys are doing what, a couple 100,000 in sales a year?
2019, we're probably doing like maybe 400,000, give or take.
Okay. Right. So, I mean, the last 4 years, now you're on projector to like hit 3 million. That's a huge task and a huge goal. How many trucks are you guys running now?
Yeah. So right now, we're running anywhere from probably 7 to 8 trucks, give or take, on a daily basis. Right now we're a bit slower, but our focus that we really work on and have been super beneficial to us is our interior designers. So we work closely with
I've heard you talk about that.
Yeah, so we work really closely with interior designers, and their projects are major, right? For at least us in the Bay Area, they're huge projects. 3 week, 4 week, a month project. And they're $50,000-$100,000 per project. You're including your warehousing costs, your white glove delivery, and the great thing is that the interior designers is not the people who actually pay for the bill; it's their customers, and typically the customers who are buying new furniture and refurnishing their house and using an interior designers. They understand value. And they understand that working with an interior designer is more of a higher end service. So you're not dealing with the Joe Schmoes. You're dealing with higher end people.
Yeah, when I was growing my previous moving company, that was the big things that we stepped out to do. And I've talked about in our podcast where I said, where do we fill in our days? And I went ahead and looked with staging companies, event furniture companies, and interior designers. And the biggest kick was, as I always said, well, you're getting 2 moves out of it because they have to either stage the home and get it prepped up, back and forth. And then also, if you're lucky, you get that third move out of it, which is the person that actually has to move out to get the place staged. You can actually move out that person's furniture. So you're almost getting like 3 moves out of it all the time. And with interior designers, we did the same thing, and it's fantastic. And if people aren't pursuing interior designers, that's such a great revenue model and a division that you could have in your team to do it. So kudos to you, because you definitely probably hit that market in San Fran.
Yeah, we really focus on that market, and we have a typical process for it. We do a lot of outbound marketing, a lot of outbound cold calling, email marketing, and everything like that. I think for every single one of my interior designers that hopped on board, we've reached them out through cold prospecting. And probably one of them that we've probably used, I was in BNI, and they used my services, but everything else was all outbound cold prospecting and outbound calling.
Nice. So, for me, and I mean, I sent you a whole bunch of questions I want to talk about, but I feel like some of the big catalysts of how I saw you, because I've been to Louis Massaro events as well too, and But where I did actually find you was on social media. And,
How did you find me, if you don't mind me asking?
well, through another moving company who said, have you checked out Steven Mandac and seen his social media content? And this was a while back. And so I checked you out. And then I've been following you for a little while and then thought, okay, I'd love to actually have you on the show now that I have a podcast set up, and wanted to have you on Movified to discuss this because, for myself and for, those that are trying to do social media, the big push that I see so much now in this past year is a lot of business owners talking to the camera, right? Guys are just coming on there and building a relationship with the audience for themselves, and then have that segue of going, and here's my company, right? Like, this is my service, but this is how I build my life. This is what I do in my life. And so, when I look at your social media, I mean, you have tons of followers. That shows a huge credibility on there as well too. But also the way you film, the way you're doing everything, is total top notch, right? And I tip my hat off to you. And I'd like to get a little bit of an idea of when I go onto your social media for your moving company as opposed to yourself, is a totally different model.
Exactly.
And so here I go, like, just rambling on here, but for me, I'm looking at it going, okay, well, am I building like a media profile for Mark Hirschi, but I also want to have this media profile for my company? What led you? So, like, when did you start saying, hey, you know what, I'm going to make this profile for myself. This is how I'm going to do it. And these are the steps I'm going to do it to make it work.
So yeah, I started off social media, I think back in like 20, I had my regular social media page. I had my business page, but I really wanted to create a personal brand on there. And I really started that journey in about, I think 2021, 2022, and really wanted to brand myself as, that industry leader in the moving industry. And I seen there was really nobody there besides like Lewis, but Lewis is really a coach.
And that'll be the end of part one. Check in for part two as we figure out what's going on, and we're going to swing this right back around.